We're going to talk about making some cartridges for the Wanzl series of rifles. Now there's two versions. There's a rimfire version, which is going to be a little tricky, and then there's a centerfire version. I have a centerfire version at this time, a little extra core carbine. I do not have a rimfire version in my possession as of yet. So what I've done is studying the different options I'm going to have, and I took a chamber casting, okay? So from all the information I got, and you have to remember when people put this information out, they're measuring loaded ammo. You know, we have the rim diameter, thickness, case dimensions. When I went and took the chamber casting, you know, where the head is 15.2 or 5.98, I'm getting 680 for the head diameter, and up at the top where it should be 584 on the case, it's 640. So it's 60 thousandths difference. That's why a lot of these cases blow out. And so now let's go to our options of what to do. Well, with the rimfire, you're going to be eliminated from taking like these 24 gauge shotgun cases. With my centerfire, I may be able to do that. Take the MagTech case, and instead of cutting it back, and another thing I found out, the chamber's cut almost 1.5 inches deep, where it's giving you the case length of 1.276, so a little bit more than 1.25 inches. So I got a lot more space in there. I got another 1/4 inch of space. I may go with a longer case, okay, and see if it fits. I'm going to experiment. So, you know, these here cut to 2 inches for the Snyder. It would mean taking off a 1/2 inch, but they have a little bit of a neck when I run them up the sizing die to hold the bullet. That might not work with the Snyder die if I take another 1/2 inch off. Okay? So there's that problem. So this can be problematic without a set of dies, and I don't think anyone makes them. You could probably have them made, or I was thinking of making them myself, and you know, trying to bore out the depths and everything to the diameters and see what I can get. I may do that later. It's going to be a lot of work to use these. So the next two steps you have is you can either machine the whole case, like these, here for the Snyder, out of solid brass. I contacted the company that did this, and centerfire, they told me if I send them the dimensions, they'll turn this, put a centerfire hole in it, send it to me. They said, you want a rimfire, we'll turn it, and the back will be solid. You'll have to worry about putting an offset rimfire hole in it. So they said they've never done them, but I have to give them dimensions, and then they'd give me a quote, which I have not got back to them yet because I took the chamber casting yesterday, and I'm trying to sort all this out and figure what I'm going to do. Now, these are quite expensive when they're turned, okay? Done on CNC machinery. They do an excellent job and engrave them in the back with the head stamp. The quality product comes with a quality price. The thing I found out when using this compared to the less expensive little shotgun brass, which is thinner brass, once you fire these turned cases, they're not like extruded or drawn brass. This will not go back up in the sizing die. Okay, it starts to cut in there. Once it moves, it doesn't flex. Okay, and I hit the end of the case with the neck expander and put a wrinkle in it. The wrinkle did not come out. So this machined brass reacts differently than just regular extruded brass. And the third choice, and then, you know, you have to just machine the case out. Okay? The last choice that you have is you machine the head of the case out of solid brass. And you make this and then get the appropriate brass tubing, turn that lip to where that brass tubing slides onto the head, and then you'd have to put a ring of silver solder in there, and there's a way of heating it up to 400 some degrees, getting the solder to flow, and then soldering to a head a extruded brass case. It's kind of tricky. The description is not detailed on how to do it. It's in Donnelly's Book of Conversions, and there's a lot about soaking it in vinegar and getting the material, the pores open, and all this other stuff. He's done it. But then again, but that would work, I believe, if you get it to hold together, it would work like a regular piece of brass running up through size and die, no matter how the chamber is, and, you know, squeeze it back, which I've done with this Magtech brass. Does that pretty good, but the turned brass does not. So, bearing this all in mind, I have looked at my chamber casting, and I had from Cartridge Collectors the dimensions of a case for the Wanzl, where it's given me 598 thousandths at the base of the case, the diameter. My chamber casting is coming out about 680, okay? And the chamber's cut kind of rough, so, you know, that's almost 100 thousandths difference. And then, like I said, another thing I noticed, where the chamber cut comes out where it ends. If you line up with that line and 2 millimeters down onto there, it's about 1.5 inches. Okay, so you can go a little bit longer with your case. Probably wouldn't harm nothing. And there's a throat area, then a right. And if you look at pictures of the cartridge, I tried finding it, you see where the bullet hangs out of the case. I don't know what, you know, that is, but I believe I can get a little bit longer cartridge in here. And so what I decided to do is I grabbed a couple hunks of brass from work, drops, and I think I'm going to try to turn a case. I don't know if I'll be able to get it done. I'm not going to show you doing it because I'm going to be concentrating on that. But if I get one done today, I don't have the tool to finish the primer pocket. But if I get it turned and set up to do the back side, I'll show you the blank case. What I decided to do is turn one, and I'm going to measure my chamber casting. I'm going to go a little bit longer. But for safety's sake, let's just say instead of 1.5 inches, we'll go with 1.475 for a case length. I'm going to leave the thickness of the 2 millimeters or 78 thousandths and the diameter of 688. See, this is the weird thing. You know, that chamber's almost cut out to where that rim ain't going nowhere, unless they use something else or a different type of cartridge. So we're going to go with the rim. We're going to go 688. But actually, I can might go 700 with that, just to see, and I'll see if it fits in my gun. This is going to be, what I'm going to do is just make a sleeve to go in the chamber, put a center fire primer and something to hold the bullet, the black powder, set it off. Hopefully it won't expand a whole hell of a lot, and I can get it out. So, with that in mind, what I might do is make 2 cartridges. I will make one that is pretty close to this here, maybe 10-20 thousandths over, and I'll make one a little bit thicker, and then shoot them, and then see what happens. And I have my bullet, hollow base bullet, which I'm going to try to get in there and see how that works with it. So basically that's what I'm going to try, and it's just going to be trial and experimenting until I find something that works. halfway decent. So I'm going to go work on the lathe, and I'll give you the end results of it at the end of this video, whether it failed or not. Alright, the end of the day after hours, what time is it? 2:30. About 3-4 hours worth of work. Finally using my lathe, so it makes my wife happy after I spent all the money and she helped me drag it in the garage. Told me, better not just sit here. So, where do we get? Well, you know, this here, kind of good, but kind of useless. Like I said, we put a chamber casting in. So our chamber casting showed us a couple things. A, that chamber's long, and B, one thing I missed, I didn't measure the rim diameter. If you go by this thing, going with the rim diameter, it's telling you it's about 688 or something. It misses the extractor and everything. The rim diameter's got to be close to 800 thousandths. And then we got our case. As you can see, larger rim diameter. I didn't know if I went deep enough or not. I'll have to gauge that and judge it. But I got a thick head, which is alright. And I turned this a little bit. They were saying 584. I went with 620 thousandths on a diameter straight. Kind of took that out to 566, 570, and I'll see about expanding the neck and seating a bullet in there. Now, at this point, I don't know if the rimfire is like this or they changed it. Like I told you, that gun's a prototype, so one of the first ones they made. And the center fire ammunition is different. It could be different. I don't know, okay? But that diagram is not good. I'm glad I didn't order anything from the custom place. I'm going to keep working on these. Now this here, once you get to this stage, what you would do, center drill it through with 80 some thousandths, or you can go 94 thousandths like Wolf says in his book, to enlarge the primer flash hole when using black powder. Kind of helps. And put a large rifle primer, and what you would do there is center drill it, drill a little flash hole, and I think take a number 4. See, this is where it's tricky. You got to go in with a drill, but then you're going to have the drill point, and you can only go 120 thousandths or 125 thousandths deep. And then what I'm waiting for is a primer pocket cleaning tool or something. It like goes on a drill press, and it'll actually cut out it's actually set with a neck for depth in that it'll square up the primer pocket. And I think that's what Donnelly said to use. You know, I put this in a lathe and just put it in my tailstock in the drill chuck and go in and set my primer pocket for center fire. For rim fire, I would have to put this in a holder, dial in the center of the collet, be a 5C collet, and then I would go and have an end mill face for where the base of the 22 blank would, drill through and ream so you get a press fit. Don't just drill, I'd have to ream it out to get a reamer in that. And then I'll put a blank that'll offset to where it comes up even, and we should have a rimfire case, cartridge. Again, if I get another gun, or when I get another rimfire gun, do the chamber casting, check it out, see how close this is, or if this is a one of a kind, because this isn't, center fire wasn't standard. So I kind of don't know there. And then maybe I'll, you know, once I get it, I'll get something. I have to make a shell holder for this too. I don't know if there's something close, because that's 80 thousandths or 78 thousandths thick, 2 millimeter, 800 thousandths in diameter. I have to see if I get something as a shell holder. or I have to make one. And then we'll take it out here and try to see what we get. See what happens. I want to see what happens to this, how it expands or whatever, if there's a way for me to machine this. And like I said, what it's going to be is just a sleeve. You're going to put it in there and have to just like kind of compress and just barely crimp. I don't want too heavy on the chamfer. The bullet in there. But that's as far as I got. I mean, working on it. And well, that's it. That's at the point now. If I do get, probably not until next weekend, do start working on it, I'll put a center fire pocket in there. Maybe I'll scrounge up some more brass, or I have to look into what diameter to get. And I'm going to start cranking them out.